What's up everybody, it's your boy. Welcome back to the channel. We had an epic day, so stay tuned for a sick Bahamas trip.
I really think it's time to say goodbye. I don't know what starts to control me. I let it go, another soul that's underneath. I don't really care about this all. It's the fall that kills me. With our back against the wall, just feed the beast and you'll see. Wait for me. I don't wanna die inside my reality. Wait for me. I don't want your mind to remember me.
So we are out here in the Bahamas and we got a little crew member today. Look at this guy, surprise. Runto, what you doing? Ooh. He's got his nest up there. He's gonna be there all day, but we're diving some fairly shallow stuff right now, some 30 feet stuff. We got a 4-man crew total, and I think they just got a fish, so we're gonna check out what they got.
Strawberry.
Dude, that's good. Those things are such good eating. Nice, Killian.
What up?
There we go. It's gonna require surgery.
A little bit. Yeah, and I want to be easy on her. I'm gonna fish print it, so.
Yeah.
I don't want
Dude, if you ever see those strawberries, oof, they're like grouper nuggets. Yellow jacks, man. Look at that color, dude. Look at that beautiful color. That's good. Here, chuck them on in. Yellow jacks, bleeding them out. Runto check. Still chilling. So now it's my turn to get in the water, and I start off diving really well. This area we're in, it's about 50 feet deep to the bottom, maybe between 50 and 60. We've actually been chumming up the area for quite some time before this dive, so there are sharks in the area, so I kind of got to anticipate that one. You see that one in the distance right there? There's yellowtail still kind of feeding on whatever scraps were left of the chum that we were chumming with, and I make this drop all the way to the bottom. Now, beforehand, I went ahead and threw my flasher, and that's kind of what you want to do if nothing's really showing up. There's always a chance of some good muttons cruising by, and I know they're around. I saw them off in the distance, and if I'm down there long enough, I might end up getting a shot. So now I go down to the bottom and I just start chilling there. I'm kind of doing like my look arounds. I'm kind of getting a lay of the area, and I have a decent amount of breath left in me, and I see some muttons off in the distance. I do some grunting, I do a little bit of scratching. You end up seeing me actually use my flasher to scratch the ground and make a little ruckus, and that actually brings in not the ones that I'm targeting off in the distance, but it brings in another one, and you'll get to see it, and I'll talk about it as it happens. Now that one was a little bit too small, that was cruising by. I'm looking for a little bit bigger, especially now that I'm here in the Bahamas. There's usually some giants that are always cruising by, and I'm kind of nearing the end of my breath hold. I could do a little Hail Mary, throw up some sand, and here comes a decent sized one, and I land the shot. So now once I shot it, it's my objective. I know there's sharks around. I need to get that fish as close to my body. I need to subdue it, keep it from creating a lot of commotion in the water. You can see my head is on a swivel. There was a shark right there, and all it takes is a second for these things to turn on a dime and charge you and possibly result in an injury. So make sure you get a hold of that fish, eliminate any commotion in the water. Here, take that. Here, let me I'll unbuckle myself. We got no rush. So now we move into a little bit deeper of water. I saw a monster hogfish off in the distance, cruising in, and with hogfish, they usually give you the shot. You might have to chase after them a little bit, but these are kind of fish that you can charge after. Most likely, they do not turn away. They're a part of the wrasse family, so they're kind of a reef fish. You see this one, I kind of take my time, and I follow it. It's giving me the tail wag, and I know it's going to turn, and that's when I give him the shaft. And I'm usually aiming for the gill plate on these fish, and it's usually a good area to aim. A lot of people try to head shoot them, but honestly, if you go gill plate, if you shoot a little forward, high, up, down, you're still going to get a good enough shot to land the fish. Now you see Matthias off in the distance, and I go ahead and get him on the GoPro landing one of these fish. Now in his case, the fish absolutely turns perfectly broadside, and he gets a perfect broadside shot on this guy. That's a grown one. Oh yeah. Alright guys, so we're getting into the fish. I loved that drop on that button. That was super cool. And then also that stud hogfish. Pretty stoked about that. Puppy check, puppy update. Puppy's just chilling, still chilling. This is the test run. This is the first time he's ever been on the boat. And I think he's sick. What do you think? Alright, well, we're gonna get back in the water, maybe get some more fish to seal the deal. We'll see. So now we head into a little bit of deeper water. This reef is so beautiful. It's covered with a bunch of mangrove snapper, some big Nassaus, and later on we find a giant black grouper. So Killian spooked this big black. I wasn't quite sure on how big it was because we are diving deeper. It looked fairly small from the surface, but it went into one of these ledges. I wasn't sure which ledge exactly, and usually sometimes this reef is all connected, so he could go in one way and actually be in another crack somewhere else. So there's really no telling. This stuff is like Swiss cheese the way it's laid out at times. So I go ahead, load up my pole spear, and now I'm rocking the Headhunter Nomad, and this thing is an absolute beast of a pole spear. I have no problems shooting big grouper in holes like this. And now I checked that first hole right there. It's not quite big enough, I thought, in my opinion. And also I didn't really thoroughly check it, but I was kind of certain that he was on this side. But he actually was in that first hole that I looked at. So I go and have no dice in this hole. He could have gone in there, but he wasn't in there from whenever I checked, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's got to be in this other hole. So I look in there and I realize how big it actually is, and there is his tail. So now I'm diving 75 feet. I'm almost pushing 2 minutes on this dive. I go ahead and load up. My slip tip falls off right there. I put it back on. Take a look under that ledge with my dive light. This is really the only shot he's given me, and I plug him. I'll explain what happens later. So that was absolute chaos. The thing took it out of the hole. If hindsight, I should have went to the other side or went to the surface and reassessed. But he pulled my belt reel all the way through the reef, and I had to drop my belt. And do not hesitate to do this. So now let me talk about that real quick. When you are diving attached to a belt reel, your main source is dropping the belt if anything goes wrong. That's what you have to do, and I didn't even hesitate whenever I was diving. It was kind of a longer dive, a deeper dive, and now I'm diving down without my weight belt just to retrieve my stuff, and you'll see exactly what happened. So there's my pole spear and my shot line that normally has a bungee with a line inside of it as a core. The bungee broke, and now I just had a broken bungee on it with the line. So now I pull it through, detach my belt reel, grab all of my stuff with my pole spear, and then I go over to my weight belt, and I'm going to basically pull the rest of my belt reel through and head to the surface. And once I get to the surface, I kind of reevaluate, reassess everything, get all my equipment back together, and I join the guys on this quest to get this big grouper. So when I head over to that grouper, the guys give me a whole inside scoop on what's going down. So I go ahead and make a drop. I know that I'm going to end up possibly having another tail shot, and I really don't like taking that shot, but I've seen really quality fish landed with the same exact shot. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. And also, if I do shoot the fish and he gets away, he's not mortally wounded. He's actually probably going to survive, and a little bit of a foreshadowing, this might be what happens here. But this is a really tough fish. I kind of go under there, see it's a pretty stirred up. There were some Kubera snapper that were kind of checking out what was going on. Get my head all up under there, and then I end up seeing his tail. So I went ahead, and got my pole spear, load it back up. Sure enough, the slip tip falls off again, and that's kind of a chance you take with these new Warhead slip tips, but they are doing a better job of getting them tested, and they've made modifications to actually make it to where they don't fall off as easy anymore. So that's definitely something I'm looking forward to. But go ahead and get in there, another tail shot. And I go ahead and make sure I jam it in there, make sure I have them. And I go ahead and detach my belt reel so I don't have a reel tethered all the way to the surface when I don't really need it to be. So now it's my time to go to the surface, let the guys know what's up, and kind of reevaluate the situation.
It's a good shot. Hey. It's a good shot. I'm dying.
Now, I was diving really well this day. It was some really deep dives, some really long dives, and I probably made about 15 to 20 dives just on this one black grouper. And for me, I don't like giving up. So to have a fish in a hole, knowing that he's in there and walking away, I just can't do that. So I look in here, see that the fish is still attached to my pole spear. I try to get him around the corner there, and my spear tip rips out again. So now I actually go look on the other side to see if his head is near the rock there, and sure enough, I see his head, and I end up going up, which is a better idea of reassessing. So his head is looking right at me right there. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get a shot on this guy, but I have to head up and get another breath of air because I am just dying trying to get this guy out of the hole at 75 feet. So now I reassess, went back down, I check one hole, see if I can get a shot in that one, and then I check another hole, and you'll kind of see this is a 9-foot pole spear. It's kind of hard to maneuver, and the way the angle works out, I try to get as close to I can to the fish and try to get my spear angled up towards his head, and I can't really see him, but I get it as far as I can up that way, hoping that I get a shot in him. I let it rip, and sure enough, I missed. It was kind of a Hail Mary. I was hoping I'd get a shot in him, and we're back to square one, trying to fish this black out of this hole again. I'm literally dying at this point. So I go ahead and breathe up again, and thank God there was only a little bit of current. If there was any more current than this, I probably would be struggling even more. So I make a dive, and on this dive, I actually don't have a shot on him, but I reach in there and just grab him. And you see right there, there's a beautiful Nassau Grouper. We're not going after Nassau's because we're going back to the States, and we're not allowed to bring Nassau into Florida waters, so that fish is out of the question. I know the guys shoot them in the Bahamas over here all the time, so this is probably cringeworthy of them watching this video and me letting that grouper swim. So now I go ahead and get my hands inside of that hole. I get in his gills, and I literally have a grip on the fish. And he's trying to go out this one hole that my left hand is on, and I'm trying to push his face back, trying to get him out, and I just can't do it. I'm gassed. So I get my pole spear, head back up to the surface, and Killian goes ahead and gives it a try.
I had him by the gills. I had him by the gills. And he was trying to go out the smaller hole, trying to get him to come out of my hole. And I couldn't back him down to get him out of my hole. So I just let him go, and he's still sitting right there. You want to try to go after him? Just stick your hand in there, grab him by the gills. Let the dust settle a little bit. Hey, he's closer to that edge there though, right here.
Your edge?
Yeah.
I just want to say, long story short, we didn't land this guy. Probably shortly after this, the grouper just slowly cruises out of the hole that I was holding him from. He has a wound in his tail where I first shot him and shot him again, and he just ends up cruising down the reef, swimming by, and almost like nothing had happened. And this was a much bigger fish than we anticipated, and he won this battle. He went to a cave, and we went to look and could not find him for the life of us. So now we went to another spot, and Dylan actually hopped in the water and shot this nice hogfish to bring home. He actually rolled this guy. And you see how he approached. He was just nice and calm, staying rigid and straight with his pole spear. He had it off to the side a little bit, and you kind of want to have it more in line with your body, but he still did a good enough job. The hogfish wasn't really moving too much, and he landed a nice fish for the day.
Nice, dude. I was right behind you. I got the whole thing up. footage.
nice.
Yeah, nice, dude. Stoned him. Yeah, nice shot, dude.
Now this is one of our last fish. Well, I was planning on it being my last fish of the day. Nice hogfish went under this ledge. I cruised up to him, and whenever you're doing hogfish, whenever you're hunting hogfish, just take your time. They're gonna give you a good shot like that guy did. Now I shot a little high, and if you can see it, my injector rod was actually bent significantly. The tip of my rod there, the metal part, was bent off to the side because of that shot on that black grouper. And I ended up shooting another fish. A yellow jack comes into the commotion of this, and I get another shot. And when you see me shoot it, you can see how messed up my injector rod is. Now, whenever you're using a pole spear, do not hesitate to put another injector rod on your pole spear, especially when something like that happens where it bends it to the side. There's no correcting your shot whenever you have a bent injector rod. So now I always bring spares whenever I go to the Bahamas, and I suggest it's something that everybody else does. And now these yellowjack are absolutely delicious. I don't see any sharks in the area. I go ahead and take my time bringing it up to the surface, and also whenever I leave it down like this, it sometimes brings in Spearo mackerel.
Alright, you guys, we are done diving for the day. I will see you guys back at the dock.
Come here, Ronto, come on. Here we go. Been waiting for this all day. Dude, what the?
You're ruining the content, Ronto. Dang it.
All right, guys, so we are getting stuff done, filleting the fish, or well, what's left of them. There's our little carcass pile. If you guys enjoyed this episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new, consider subscribing. And like always, guys, I will see you next week for another adventure. Later.